Conversion Cathys and Tetrarchy Toms. Pick a peck of pickled Persians. Decriminalize that sexy new street faith. And what did you get me for my birthday? You know your brother got me canonized as a saint.
Oh, Ma, not again. I just got you talk Tull to me.
Oh, that's all right. You've always been a disappointment.
I'd hate to disappoint you by not being a disappointment.
At least you're consistent. Welcome back to the podcast. I am the shattered remains of Owen Thomas Sade.
And I am the janitor cleaning them up, Nick McGill.
Together, we are the Feckless Moans.
And this, my heretics and zealots, is talk Tull to me.
A concentration of power at the core of the prog rock empire, in which numismatic Nick and orthodox Omen will create detailed iconography of each and every track that Romanitas rock band Jethro Tull have ever baptized in the holy font of our ear holes. We will humbly argue against Scott Hammond's heresy, become garrulous on the gospel of David Goodyear, and test the faith of Florentine Florian O'Fall. And if, by sheer force of will, we can pacify the Two Fingers Tribunate, dust down the One White Duck Danube, and emerge victorious from symbol combat with a sea lion, we might just receive favorable word from the Oracle of Oration, the Barbarian of Blackpool, the Public Bath Pugilist, the Precious Parfait Piccoloist, Ian, I did not convert because I believe, I convert because you do not believe, Anderson.
Trying to follow the logic of that statement.
I wouldn't bother.
Okay,
You'll get dizzy.
I hit a dead end already, yeah.
You'll fall in a hole.
I also appreciate that the biggest stretch of alliteration I think I've ever heard. Humbly argue.
I was tapping into my Cockney roots.
No, I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Nick, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
It is 10 to 5 in the evening, and I'm having another espresso.
Oh, I'm having a little port.
I did think you were looking a little portly.
You bitch.
Do you know why it's called port?
Because it is fortified.
It's from the Porto region of
Italy?
Nope. The
Spain.
Nope. You're getting closer though. Portugal. Or maybe it's just from its Portugal. Maybe it's Portugal.
Is that a regional name then? Like it has to come from port, like champagne?
No idea. I've made up most of what I've just said.
Oh my God.
We'll look at it in the halftime.
We won't.
We'll look at it at the act break.
Yeah.
Nick, speaking of the act break, what is the act that we are about to commit?
Oh my goodness. So many. Nobody record this, please. We are going to talk track number 4 off of Homo Eroticus. It is Puer Ferox Adventus, and the dates are 313 to 600 CE.
I'm so glad that you pronounced that instead of me.
It's been fun experiencing your Latin. This whole adventure, and we'll experience more for sure. But that, like, I don't hold it against you because 3 people are Latin minors in the world, and I'm all 3 of them.
Yes, exactly. It turns out it is named after the city of Porto in Portugal, which is where it was shipped and exported from.
It's port.
Without further ado, why don't we have a listen to Puer Ferox Adventus?
Close enough.
Nick McGill.
Omen Thomas Sade.
That song, a golden coin stamped forever in our minds, was Puer Ferox Adventus.
Getting better.
Thank you. Or translated into English, Wild Child Coming.
Correct. Puer is boy. Wild is ferox, which is where ferocious comes from.
Yep.
And Adventus is it's specifically
To move about.
it's to come to a place. That's where the ad is the to portion, and venire is the to come portion.
To venture, but to
venture, adventure. Yep.
To hear venture.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Quite the showpiece of a song.
It's a doozy. I don't think you would ever want to experience it live, but
why not? Why not? I think it'd be great.
It's on the slow side.
Some of it, but it's very powerful.
I like the power and I like the build, but I think it takes a bit too long to get there.
It's powerful. It's got a huge build. It's got different sections. It's subdivided into 4 or 5 territories. It's a lot like the Roman Empire.
That's exactly what he's going for.
And parts of it still resonate even today.
That's right. Its blood is still in various other songs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about it musically? Let's start with the eventual time signature. What did you glean? All of my respect hinges on the next couple of words that you say.
I know this could either be I'm chucking you a softball because I pity you, or there's a guaranteed trick here that I'm going to trip up on.
I don't think there's any trick.
It's 3/4.
You got it. We can continue speaking.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that gives it some of its kind of turgid feeling of like what you hear as a little bit of slowness. It has those big swinging sounds. And it's also really interesting to hear how, because there are the really intense sections of it and then the really calm sections of it. It's interesting to hear how the 3/4 supports both of those.
Yeah, and the transitions are pretty interesting. I don't know if I properly caught it or not. I feel like there may be some of those instances of where all of a sudden there's another beat in here just for this moment, just for this transition.
I believe that is the case.
Okay, good.
We start with a fun drone.
A Gregorian chanty drone.
Yes, it helps us come out of Enter the Uninvited.
Yeah, like we discussed last week, it's pretty similar. It's not spot on, but it's similar enough that if you don't have that break per se in the sound, it blends enough. It feels like it blends enough.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right. You picked out the chanty aspects. They're a little bit buried in there, but they're very, they add that flavor to it. Like you said, it is reminiscent of a Gregorian chant, or perhaps a pagan chant. Who knows?
It's possible. We also have thunder and lightning. We get a storm sound as well, which is really nice.
The brash north wind strikes upon this high loveling spine.
That has got to be the first thunder sound effect that was ever made for cinema, television, or anything, and it's just been reused so many times, and I'm sure that Ian chose it intentionally. It's like if you watch Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It's that same sound cue. It must have been produced by the BBC in 1955.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the original Frankenstein.
It could even be that. Yeah. It has that very distinctive double strike, that...
Yeah, and it's a high pitch, yeah.
It's so funny that that's in there.
Yeah.
We get Ian singing, kind of his voice rising out of that miasma of sound. Yeah,
for the first, up until 50 seconds, he sings in a very particular fashion that I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if he's trying to elicit some sort of religious chant, or like when in some churches when they have to read a homily or something, it's talk like this is how we sing the song.
Well, sure.
I'm going to read that Jesus rode a bicycle.
That happens in a lot of different religions.
Yeah.
The readings of the Torah are supposed to be in that. There must be a word for it.
Yeah.
It's a form of recitation
To hopefully prevent you from falling asleep.
Maybe it does have something to do with memory.
I'm sure I learned the term for it in my Western religions class, but don't remember much about that class.
Is it a canticle?
I think you canticle. Yeah, I think you're right, because cant is to sing.
Sure.
Yeah. I can tickle.
Yeah, it could also be called plain chant. I think it actually, but maybe Gregorian chant is the word for it.
No, but Gregorian is more the multi layers, the people. Yeah, and generally Gregorian is. Oh no, I guess they are singing things. It's not just notes, but
cantillation, Vedic chanting. Yeah, so there are. It's a form of chanting. Let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that.
Mm-hmm.
I find in that first section, there's so much going on. I found it a little bit difficult to pull out Ian's voice, but then it kind of cleared up like a rash.
You put an ointment on his voice, and then it came right out.
By the second verse, I was like, oh, it was like it was never there. But it's also, I mean, with the setting of that first verse, this is interesting because this song takes us in. Like every other song has sort of been in a single place before.
Mm-hmm.
This song takes us on a bit of a tour of Europe, a tour of the empire. And starting, we'll get into the lyrics, but I believe we're starting in Britain at the beginning. And so it kind of is appropriate that we have those mists and the wind and everything. And like when you're in England, you're like, what's all this then?
Yes. Probably. Yeah. I mean, it's 7.25 minutes. So there's ample room to wander around the entire kingdom.
There is. One thing I love about the song is the beauty of the organ.
Yes. The organ plays a couple of different parts in here. We get straight up organ, but we also get a part where it's on like that vocal setting.
Yep.
Where it sounds like pseudo voice. I think we get, there are one or two other sounds, but prominently, I think it's that organ, the actual organ.
We later get some piano as well.
Oh, that's it. Yes. Yeah. That is the other keys sound.
That's the other keys sound. We get perhaps the most exciting bass work from David Goodyear on this album yet, in my opinion.
I did not catch the bass at all. I was actually caught by the drums.
You were caught. You were tortured.
I was exsanguinated.
You were exsanguinated. You were resanguinated. Pre-sanguinated. Yep. And I always pre-sanguinate before I go out.
It saves time.
It saves time.
Yeah.
It's cheaper that way.
Yeah.
I love both the drum and the bass in this. Both Mr. Goodyear and Mr. Hammond are doing incredible work.
Yeah, this is when it starts to when it swaps over at about 50 seconds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This sponge of pragmatic Constantine mops them all up and wipes them clean.
Again, one of the nice things about this song is that there is such a build, and so we start, like, to build that runway, they start with the drums playing just kind of a little bit...
Just cymbals, yeah.
Just cymbals, just maybe, like, the rim of the drum here and there, just very natural sounding before we get into the full rock sound later.
Yeah. It is very, like, building block-y.
Yes.
You know, it feels very rudimentary and it leads this kind of logical progression of now we're going to build on this sound a little bit. And now this part's going to get a little bit louder. And then we're going to build into this. And then we'll introduce this theme. And it's because it's so slow, quote unquote, because it's at that kind of trudgy feel, there's never a point where it's difficult to catch on to what's happening, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
I love being swept away. It's like, oh, wow, when did that happen? Where's this going? But, you know, it is kind of nice on just a simple music level to be like, okay, I see what's going on here. I get it. I get what you're going for, and I approve.
We're talking about, spoiler alert, Emperor Constantine of Rome.
Yes.
And it is such a huge moment in history. Constantine was so influential on the course of Western civilization. It feels appropriate to give him a whole 7 minutes and to feel like the song is really looking at this, not the course of his whole life, but a big chunk of it.
A decent span, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's certainly not a snapshot. It's certainly not a quick blip in like a day in the life of Constantine.
Correct. It's not like Aqualung where it's like, I saw this person
Yes.
for 30 seconds and then I wrote a song about them.
Yeah.
It's more something else.
Yes, it is something else.
It's more the entirety of Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die
Yeah, right.
compressed into a 7-minute song.
Yeah.
At airy pages, the beginning of the third verse, we've not gotten to our chorus yet. We have Florian coming in kind of at a distance, like a longbowman, striking with deadly accuracy and power with his guitar, but like from really far away.
What is this book? These airy pages. Scribe and scribbled with latitude.
The English longbow was a game changer.
It was a game changer. I remember it well.
I got hit so many times with that.
I got a tattoo at Agincourt.
They just dip the arrows in ink and hit you from across a field.
It's the worst. It hurt more than that prison tattoo I got. But Florian, it's great. He has his guitar really crunked up. He poured gravel into the speaker.
Right.
He poured a cup of sugar into the guitar when he was gassing it up at the gas station, and it just sounds really, really crunchy, really like not quite tortured, but just very rough, very like. Rawr.
Forgive me if this is a silly question, but what happens if you put sugar in a gas tank?
Why don't you find out? No, yeah, don't do it on your car. It completely destroys the engine.
Oh, does it really?
Oh, yeah, because
Wow.
The sugar carbonizes inside the bits of the engine that move, and apparently that's bad.
It makes a caramel and and stiffens up
You have to replace the entire engine.
the entire engine. Wow.
So if you want to really screw somebody over, or if you're, I don't know, for instance, protesting a building site, go ahead and put a little sugar in a gas tank.
Yeah, the problem is there's no gas tank on a Cybertruck.
You can just set it on fire.
Just bump into it gently and
Actually,
it'll do it.
it doesn't need
itself.
sugar. Yeah, just hit it with a spray bottle. It'll burst into flame. Anyway, we have Florian coming in like at this distance beautifully. It's really exciting. It kind of, maybe there are some parallels there to the vision that Constantine supposedly saw on the battlefield. Maybe not. But at about 3 minutes, we suddenly go upbeat. We get this really kind of double time rhythm from the drum and the bass.
Yes, and that's where we get really prominent rim shots with the drum as well.
Manic mother, her child gone missing.
When we hit the chorus, I feel like it's finally the payoff of this entire 3/4 build-up.
It's super powerful, yeah.
This song is like I don't know why I'm thinking about cars. This song is like a diesel engine. It needs those 3 verses to warm up. But then when it's finally warm,
Boy howdy.
you mash down, it gets some real power.
You can tow a house with that. You can tow Rome with that.
You could tow Rome. Let's
Yeah.
move Rome a couple miles to the east.
Squeak.
There's a wild child coming. There's a lingering demon. There's a new age dawning here to an old beach plan.
Yeah, also at that chorus, I think it's not this one. I think it's the second one of the chorus. But is Ryan in there? Or is it just Ian singing at just a slightly different pitch with layering? I can't quite tell. But there's something that sounds just a hair different on the second one than we heard on the first one.
On the second chorus?
Second chorus, yeah, which is about, I think, 350.
As a wild child kind, there's an angry bang, there's an image drawn in here to an old age plan.
There's a lot going on in that chorus.
Yeah, that is so tightly layered that it's not a jambalaya where you can pick out pieces. Like, it's puff pastry where those layers are all together. You can't separate those.
Yeah, that tracks. I just checked my cookbook, and you're right.
We
have John O'Hara doing the big sweeps on the organ. We have Florian doing the big, like, squow going up and down the neck.
Yes.
I don't hear another voice. I do hear Ian maybe doubled up, but it could very well be Ryan O'Donnell. There is so much else going on in there.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think what struck me most is it feels like there's a higher bit going on, and Ian's already pushing as it is on some of these.
I think what you're hearing is Ian is flipping into his falsetto, and he's doing it pretty successfully in this track. I know we talked on one of the previous tracks, I forget which one, about it felt like he was trying out the falsetto, something we hear a lot more in the more recent albums that he's sort of figured out by now at the date of recording. But when he was doing this album, it seemed like it was still kind of an experiment. But in this case, I don't know why, but it feels more successful to me when he goes, because he goes in his chest voice, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then he goes into the head voice, ba-da-ba-ba-bow.
Yeah, that first reference is about 240. It does feel a little quavery to me. It does feel a little proto-falsetto for what we now hear.
It's falsino.
It's falsetto. But yeah, it certainly smacks of later times, particularly this song, content-wise, and some of these like really specific sweeps and guitar bits. This is very much a seed for Zealot Gene, I would say.
In more ways than one.
More ways than one.
At 4:10-ish, we have a fabulous breakdown where it seems to me like it's like a perfect storm of a fire hazard where the flute kind of gets really hot and creates a spark, and that sparks off the guitar, and the guitar is filled with flammable liquids, and that creates a big fire, and then the flute just blows up.
Everything that I've ever heard you refer to when talking about guitars makes me think you don't know how guitars work, Omen. You put rocks in this one. This one's filled with flammable liquid. This one's made out of cardboard.
Now you know why I go through guitars so quickly.
It's the secret, yeah. Yeah. No, but that breakdown is awesome. That's my favorite part of this song. It's really good.
It really is like they're setting each other off. It's like this sort of like reaches its maximum level, and then pow, and then the next one comes out. It's so fun, and Ian's fluting is very, very exciting, very, very like, he's never not had it. Yeah.
Yeah, the sharpness of the flute really helps to separate itself out, like in every song. But there's so much grand and sweeping and really pretty loud. Like, this is just a loud song in general with how like powerful it is.
Yeah.
Having the pierce of the flute is really nice to kind of break the wall a little bit, the wall of noise.
When I'm in a nursing home, I'm going to play this on my Hyper Victrola at the old folks space station as loud as I can at inappropriate times.
Yes.
Until I get my popsicles. Ian is really bringing the Ferox to... What?
What's the relation to the old folks home? Why... You're just saying you're going to listen to this song forever? Like, I don't understand how we got to old folks home.
It's like, it would disturb someone. It could be a disturbance.
Gotcha. Okay.
Initially, I was thinking like this is the song that you could play as a teenager to piss off your parents.
Yeah.
But I don't live with my parents anymore. So I was thinking, who's the next person that I can piss off?
Well, your mom is coming to visit next week.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, piss her off.
She'll probably play this at midnight and piss me off.
Mom, turn it down.
Mom, turn down your prog rock. There's some lovely piano arpeggios while Ian is entering the fifth dimension here on the flute.
Yes, he transcends dimensions here, yeah.
And then at 5-ish minutes, we go back to really calm, like almost the most calm that we've been, and it's this really contemplative moment, which is a nice reset to then go back into the really hard stuff to take us out.
Proclamation, divine seed sown.
Yeah, that reset is, I believe, just looking at the wave file, it looks like it's pretty gosh darn similar to what we hear at about 50 seconds from when we go from that, the chanting and the organ, and Ian maybe at doing his canticle, and then it stops for like the briefest of moments, and then picks up into what more of what we're going to experience in this song. I think that's what that reset brings us back to.
This sponge of pragmatic.
Nick, I want you to change your mindset from canticle to cudicle.
Good people listening and not watching. While I was talking just this last minute, I was watching Omen's face, and I saw an adventure. I saw what happens when Omen puts together jokes in real time. And I was like, is he going to pick on me for something? Am I going to get shit for this? And then he pulls out that gem, and it was worth it. It was worth it to ride that roller coaster.
Please don't play poker with me.
You and I never have. I don't know what your poker face is.
We've played other card games.
Have we?
Uno.
Have we played Uno?
No, we played Spit at your house last time I was there.
That's right.
We played Garbage with your son.
Yeah. Yeah, but those don't require poker faces.
Which is why I agreed to play them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Final musical thoughts on this song, Nick?
No.
Okay.
No, I got nothing else on the old notey poo here. So, nope.
I enjoy this one. This might be my favorite so far. I remember the first time I listened to this album, I was taking a nature walk, and the first time you listen to a Tull album, it's like it's more of an inoculation than anything else.
Right, yeah. And then you need exposure to really build up the
you need exposure. Yeah. But then herd immunity.
Yeah.
But I remember getting to this track and thinking, okay, maybe I will like this album.
It certainly breaks the pacing and really takes it to the next level in terms of artistic creation of this album. It's not all just rockin'. We're going to stop and have this religious ballad, and then we're going to sing in the next song. I think it's even more of a religious chanty sound to it, or a school song sound. So it's a lot like, well, honestly, yeah, it's a lot like Tab 2, where we did have these moments of like, okay, we've got a chunk of this, roughly this same kind of sound, and then we break all together and throw in this other completely different, brand new sound that no sane person would put on the same album as what we heard the last 3 songs.
That's what I love about this song. There is a certain kind of audacity to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we love about Jethro Tull in general. But, the first couple of tracks on this could be a little general. It's like, okay, we're talking about prehistoric England / Doggerland. Okay, We're talking about the history of metalworking. Okay, we're talking about the Roman Empire in general. Now, we have a 7-minute song about Constantine, Emperor of Rome. And I don't know any other 7-minute rock songs about Constantine. Maybe there are some, but they're probably not this good.
Please write in and let us know.
Please write a song about Constantine, and we will review it.
Oh, yeah. We'll play it on air. We'll review it. Like that.
For me, this is the moment where I dropped into the album, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think you just overdid it.
I think I did it.
I'm over you doing it.
Nick, welcome back to the halfway part of the show.
Thank you for having me. I lost the invitation, but my name is on the guest list, so here I am.
When you're here, you're family.
Hospitaliano, everyone.
Would you like a breadstick? What do we have for the what appetizers? What amuses bouches have we? Have you anything to amuse our bouches, Nick?
Prepare your bouches for amusement, because here we go. So I've got two little snippets from previous writer-inners from Tull Skulls. Our first one is none other than Vicar John.
Vicar John!
Vicar John.
You've probably heard of Constantine.
I'm sure he has, yeah. I'm sure he will inform us of all that we missed out and got wrong after this episode drops.
I hope so.
But he references the Doggerland.
Oh, cool.
In the Discord, he says, we moved to Bridlington last summer from
Spalding,
where we went to see him. We went to meet Vicar John in Spalding. It was
Did you say Bridlington?
Bridlington last summer. And so we look out into the North Sea and Doggerbank.
Wow.
The University of Bradford has a downloadable interactive map to show the demise of Doggerland.
Wow.
So you can see step by step as the water went up. And then he also says the Dogger Bank is planned to be the site for the world's largest wind farm.
Oh.
And that can be found at doggerbank.com.
Wow. Right. Okay. Because in theory, the water would be shallower there because Doggerland is there.
Right.
That is so cool.
And then it's near enough to the land that you get a good mix of the hot and the cold air, the air currents and everything. So it makes sense to put a wind farm there, presumably.
Wow. And apparently it only is going to cost $11.6 billion.
That's it?
Yeah.
I think I might put one in on my farm.
I think I might put a Doggerland on my farm.
Oh, it's the Doggerland that cost the $11.6 billion.
That's right. Thank you, Vicar John. Lovely
Thank
as always
you.
to hear from you. Our memories of visiting you are as fresh and resonant as ever. And enjoy your views of the North Sea.
Thank you so much. If you have any good pictures, drop them in the Discord.
Disc 'em in the drop cord.
And then this is a writer-inner that we haven't heard from in a very long time.
Oh?
This is Greggy K.
Greggles!
Greggles Schmegeggles writes in.
That's so nice to hear from you.
This is about Martin Barr 2025.
Oh.
Hi, Momes. I'm writing this a scant few days before you are going to see Martin Barr, but I wanted to check in. That's right, we will be seeing Martin Barr in 2 days' time.
Yeah.
You're in for a great evening. Wish I could meet you there to sample the pies, but alas. I was at the show last evening in Buffalo, and it was absolutely wonderful. Buffalo, New York.
Oh, great.
This was my 27th Tull or Tull-adjacent show.
Wow.
2 Ian Anderson solo shows, and this was my second Barr show. This time, it was 3 highly talented guitarists in an all-acoustic, very intimate setting.
Wow.
In addition to Martin, there was longtime collaborator, guitarist, and recorder artist Dan Crisp. I've seen him before, and he does an incredible job covering the Anderson vocals. And no less important, Alan Thompson handled an impressive acoustic bass guitar, in addition to a standard 6-string guitar. His vocal additions to Fat Man are not to be missed.
Wow.
They all took their turn at being featured throughout the evening, and the show was a delight start to finish. In addition to quite a few Jethro Tull songs, there were several Martin Barr solo works, and a few great covers that Martin described as just for fun. These included a novelty song from John Baldry, Everything Stops for Tea, Blind Faith's Can't Find My Way Home, and a unique and powerful rendition of Robert Johnson's Crossroads.
Oh, wow.
Sprinkled throughout the show were brief but interesting stories and anecdotes, including a short but moving recounting of a recent meeting, quote-unquote, with an old friend. He didn't mention a name, but it was pretty evident by the clues given as to whom he was speaking. I've no doubt you guys will suss it out in no time. No, it wasn't IA.
Dun, dun, dun. It was Constantine.
It was Constantine, the oldest friend. I had the pleasure of meeting Martin and the rest some 33 years ago, as I've recounted to you before. At the time, I proudly showed photos of my new baby son, who we named Ian in honor of. Last night, I was accompanied by that same young man who's seen the band with me several times over the years. I do believe he was possibly the youngest person in the crowd last night, and I bet your Rook is going to be the youngest person in the crowd on Saturday.
Is he coming?
He's coming. He's got a ticket.
Oh my gosh.
His very first concert, yeah.
That's awesome.
One final teaser for you. I got to meet a delightful surprise person while visiting the merch table. Some light sleuthing on your part will confirm your suspicions. I would highly recommend that any Tull fan make the effort to see Martin's show if you get the chance. It is an evening you won't soon regret. Have a great time. Greggy K.
Greg, wonderful to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Really excited that you kind of can be our future eyes or our past eyes. Our eyes
on the sky.
Your eyes. You are the eyes in the pie.
A potato.
You're a stargazy pie for us, looking forward into the future, into our future. And really, I'm so excited about the concert, really.
The K stands for carp. He's the carp in a stargazy pie. Is there a fish that starts with K?
I'm sure there is.
Kelp.
That's
not
a fish.
Not a fish.
Yep. Kepler. The Kepler belt fish. The kingfish.
Yes,
the kingfisher fish.
Fish.
The king tuna.
King salmon. It's a salmon.
King salmon.
Anyway, regardless, thank you, Greggy K, for writing in. It was lovely, absolutely lovely to hear from you after so long. Very excited for the show. When I saw him a couple of years ago with a handful of Tull Skulls, there was a mixture of acoustic and electric, but I'm very much looking forward to the full acoustic style, especially in the Homer Center for the Performing Arts. It is a gorgeous little, really sweet little venue. So it's going to be really nice.
If you haven't written in, what, is your keyboard broken? We'll hear from you sometime soon and look forward to hearing from all of our correspondents.
fecklessmomes@gmail.com.
Nick McGill.
And Thomas Sade, it's lyric time.
Tell me, who is John Constantine?
John Constantine is a magic practitioner in the DC universe. He is often involved with the Sandman universe that was created by Neil Gaiman. He's also often tied with Justice League Dark. He and Zatanna have an on and off again relationship.
Sure.
He has incredible bad luck because he's kind of been cursed and messed around with demons a lot.
Very cursed.
And he sold his soul a couple of times.
Highly panned movie starring
Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
But actually, I quite enjoyed it.
It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Well, now that that's out of the way, who's the Constantine that we're talking about for this song?
This would be probably Constantine the Great.
Yeah.
Flavius Valerius Constantinus, also known as Constantine the Great. He was a Roman emperor from 306 to 337 AD.
Yes.
Before we dive into what you want to dive into, I just want to talk dates really quick.
Let's do.
Much to Ian's chagrin, we've been talking CE and BCE, which is Common Era and before Common Era. Before that, it was AD, which is Anno Domini, which is the year of our Lord, and then BC, which is before Christ. And scientists were like, why is this religious? And they changed it. That being said, ballpark the idea of Christ's birth. I mean, you would think it would be 1 AD, but it's not. It's not. The theologians did some timing and everything, and they think he was probably born between 6 and 4 BCE.
Oh.
So AD swapped over on his 5th birthday, I guess.
Oh, weird.
Very strange, yeah. But this song, remember, time-wise, is 313 to 600 CE or AD. So this song is not about Jesus, per se.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's all.
Very good points. It's also worth noting that at this phase of the Roman Empire, it had become so big that they decided that one emperor was not really sufficient.
It's like having a hindbrain on a brontosaurus.
Exactly like that. So the details of this are accessible in books, and we won't go too deeply into them. But basically, Rome, the Roman Empire had been divided a couple of times, and they had developed what would later be called the Tetrarchy. So there were various points, 3 emperors, 4 emperors, and each of them had their underlings, etc., etc.
Tetrarchy meaning 4 pieces. Tetra.
Oh, like a tetrapod.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Constantine was the son of a Roman army officer who eventually went up the ranks and became one of these high-ranking people. Constantine was accompanying his father, was traveling in various places, and they spent a bit of time in what is now the UK. Northern England, southern Scotland-ish.
Part of the footprint of Rome at the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when they both were there, Constantine's father died, and he sent a letter to Rome basically saying, I'm taking over, I'm succeeding where my father was before, so I'm now in this position.
Right.
This was an interesting period of time for the Roman Empire because there were lots of different religions. There were the pagan religions, there was Judaism, but also Christianity was now on the rise, and there were, depending on who was in charge, Christians were either tolerated, somewhat tolerated, or heavily persecuted.
Heavily not tolerated.
Heavily intolerated.
Yeah.
And fed to lions and things.
Daniel and the lion. Somebody in the lion. Somebody gets thrown into the lion's den.
It's interesting because as not everyone liked Constantine on his rise to power, and so one of these kind of sharing emperors, Gallius, tried to kill Constantine many times, including basically backing him into a corner and saying you have to do single-hand combat with this lion. And Constantine apparently came out on the other end better than the lion did.
Rome was ruled by a lion ever since.
That's right. The history of Constantine is so huge we can't possibly do it justice. But we might know someone who does, who can. The brash north wind strikes upon this isle of Lindisfarne. I offer searching souls the wisdom of my years.
The brash north wind strikes upon this isle of Lindisfarne. I offer searching souls the wisdom of my years.
Nick, what is and where is Lindisfarne?
It is known as the Holy Island. It is off the northeast coast of England. It constitutes the civil parish of Holy Island in Northumberland. It has a recorded history from the 6th century CE. It was an important center for Celtic Christianity.
Right.
It was originally home to a monastery which was destroyed during the Viking invasions, as to be expected.
Yep, as happens.
But it was reestablished as a priory following the Norman conquest of England. Other notable sites built on the island are St. Mary the Virgin Parish Church, originally built in AD 635 and restored in 1860. There is Lindisfarne Castle. There are several lighthouses and other navigational markers, a complex network of lime kilns. In the present day, the island is an area of outstanding natural beauty, and that is all capitalized. So that sounds like probably like a protected site or something.
And significantly, it is in the area, in the general area that Constantine and his father would have been stationed and warring against the Picts and the Celts.
Yeah, the Northeast. Yeah, it is also a hot spot for birding. Tell your father-in-law. And I think the most important thing in this Wikipedia article is, as of February 2020, the island has 3 pubs, a hotel, a post office, and a museum.
It's almost enough pubs.
Thank you. Thank you.
So whether or not this is true, it is at least feasibly possible that Constantine could have encountered Christianity on that island.
Yeah. If you throw the dart at the map, it's probably pretty close.
It's within possibility.
It's in spitting distance. I'm praying to God.
These lessons writ in Book of Ages holy past, the agony, the righteous path to steer between the waves, the dark abyss tied to the mast.
These lessons writ in Book of Ages holy past, the agony, the righteous path to steer between the waves, the dark abyss tied to the mast.
So the interesting thing about Constantine is that there's nothing that detailed about him written while he was alive. Like, we have some sources, but a lot of what we know about him is from propaganda.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Or him being like, hey, this is my official story, guys.
Wow.
And
okay.
I'm the emperor, so I get to say whatever I want.
Yeah, right. Of course.
We have some historical accounts. We have some letters, I think, but there's not a lot of like, oh yeah, this definitely happened. This definitely happened. There's a lot of spin.
Yeah, right.
But I love what Ian is doing, which is giving a kind of a probable enough historical fictional account.
Yeah, right. The most realistic you can get, you can glean from what you have.
Without including any facts.
Yeah, right.
We're setting up this image of this guy who was born in Lithuania, present day, to an Illyrian father. They're on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, finding himself all the way in this foggy edge of the rock, on the edge of the world, on the edge of the empire, and encountering this faith.
Mm-hmm.
And as Constantine's adventure continued, he was faced with a lot of really stressful situations, not just travel, but travel in those days was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
He fought a lot of wars in Gaul and, present day France and Spain. And so it is an intriguing idea to say, oh, he encountered this thing while he was at the edge of the earth. I mean, it feels very much like a Star Wars almost.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? What are these texts? What are these stories? And that kind of staying with him as he was then continuing to journey throughout his life.
Yeah. As he grew in power, he also became more able to kind of shape his own story.
Yes, exactly. Second verse, this sponge of pragmatic Constantine mops them all up and wipes them clean.
This sponge of pragmatic Constantine mops them all up and wipes them clean.
A double image there. He is a sponge, which is sopping up information, being filled with knowledge and ideas. Mm-hmm. But also he's, at the same time, he's wiping out groups of people who are opposing Rome.
Yes. The smudges, the dirt, if you
Yes.
will. Yeah.
So it's a very beautiful, a very typical Ian double image that it's like that thing where it's like, it's a young girl, it's an old woman, it's a young girl, it's an old woman.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I think we should term this not an optical illusion, but a lyrical illusion.
Ooh, I like that.
It's all okay, it's all official. The Christ child Advent here to be seen. Saturn's solstice, Yuletide blotted, blended in cynic innocence.
It's all okay, it's all official. The Christ child Advent here to be seen. Saturn solstice, Yuletide blotted, blended in cynic innocence.
One of the things that is interesting is that I was reading about the way that Constantine was raised. He was raised in the court of Diocletian. And it was apparently quite an open society. There were Christian intellectuals, there were pagan intellectuals, there was Latin being spoken, there was Greek being spoken. So he was exposed to quite a rich blend of philosophies, religions, thoughts, etc.
Yeah.
So there's something interesting, what Ian is saying. He's painting the image of somebody who is able to synthesize different philosophies, different forms of thought, which is probably a very useful tool for somebody in his position.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, it smacks of that idea of when religions get absorbed into other religions.
Yes, which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, it's the cynic innocence blended in cynic innocence. It's, oh, there's a Christmas tree for the Yule, or there's a log for the Yule and a Christmas tree for this, and then Jesus was born conveniently at this time, and we'll put them all together. And because it has some of what you like and some of what you like and some of what you like, it falls under this broader umbrella of this. We'll allow it.
And I think that Ian is accurate to call Constantine pragmatic in that way.
Yeah.
Because religion, as we've seen, can tear an empire apart.
Yeah.
And I think his interest was in not that happening.
Yeah. So what's the best result you can get with the tools you have?
Right.
Knowing the worst case scenario, basically.
The next line follows up on that. Meet in Milan and host the party. Safer to sit astride the fence.
Meet in Milan and host the party. Safer to sit astride the fence.
Ian.
I wonder if Ian is seeing a little bit of a reflection of himself in Constantine, this pago-Christian, this Christian paganist. He's blending Christianity and paganism and not taking a side either way.
Right.
Ian, we've talked about it so many times.
Not publicly taking a side anyway, but yeah.
And burning all records of what he thought in private.
Exactly.
Ian, of course, we like to refer to that quote where Ian calls himself a professional fence sitter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting because so much of the official story of Constantine is the official story. We don't really know what he actually believed.
Mm-hmm.
What is this book? These airy pages, scribed and scribbled with latitude, tallest tales for poor and needy, in wide-eyed wonder at faith renewed.
What is this book? These airy pages, scribed and scribbled with latitude, tallest tales for poor and needy, in wide-eyed wonder at faith renewed.
Interesting that he focuses in on the caring of the poor aspect of Jesus' story here.
Yeah. I think the tallest tales portion is really evident here of you'll tell people anything to get them to feel good, to follow you, basically, to believe in you. The in wide-eyed wonder at faith renewed. They have reason to follow a religion now because of this moral story, or because this part of the religion tells you that this is going to happen. He's reseating the religion in these people who may have kind of been jaded or something, and that unites and unifies.
Yeah, and if there is a growing Christian contingent in the empire, it is possible that it was popular among the poor people anyway. Perhaps the official pagan religions were getting more and more elitist. Like, oh, I'm going to sacrifice this much. Well, I'm going to sacrifice this much to get what I want. Oh, you have to know the priest at the temple in order to get what you want societally. Mm-hmm. If Christianity was more of a street people religion, a religion of the common folks, at that time, then maybe he saw the value in saying, you know what, it would be really helpful if I had broad support across the empire, not just with the elites.
Yeah, exactly. Play to the strengths, play to the numbers.
Right? Words of gospel and redemption, absolution if we repent, emperor's deathbed, late salvation, baptism in dubious testament.
Words of gospel and redemption, absolution if we repent, emperor's deathbed, late salvation, baptism in dubious testament.
So I think that this speaks to the conversion. So there's several stories about his conversion. One of them, and the official one, is that during the Battle of Milvion Bridge in 312, he had a vision, he prayed, and saw a vision. He saw the Chi, which is the P with an X through it, which is the first two letters of Christ in
Hebrew,
Greek, some language. And he saw that vision, and he saw the words "In hoc signo vintus," or "By this sign I conquer." But that sounds a bit too good to be true in a way.
Yes. Yeah, it's very clean and convenient.
Exactly. That sounds like exactly the sort of thing you would want to tell people after you're dead.
Yes.
It's likely that it was a slow burn, that there was a societal change already under place where Christianity was becoming more and more dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And he had lived through the big persecution of the Christians at the hands of Diocletian and Galerius, who apparently Galerius was quite a rough guy.
A ruffian.
He was a big old roughy guy who liked violence.
That's your D&D character. I'm going to play big rough guy who likes violence.
Roll for butchness. Nat 20. I kill him with my chest hair. So he had seen how that had gone, and that was the biggest, most systematic persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Constantine had lived through that, and so it makes sense that he would say, you know what, I'm going to try a different approach, and I'm going to even go so far as to officially convert at some point.
Again, to shape your narrative, so the hoi polloi, so the mass of people who are under you take to you better.
He also, because he had traveled so much, he saw how different things were in Britain versus in Gaul versus in the eastern side of the empire versus in Rome. And it seems like he did a lot of minting of coins. And it seems that he minted them with symbology according to what was practical locally.
Oh, wow.
There are some coins that associate him with a pagan figure, and there are some coins that associate him with a Christian figure. And so it seems like he was just like, yeah, I'm associated with whatever you believe is a higher power.
He was a savvy businessman.
Yes.
He said what he needed to say to get what he wanted.
Yeah. Apparently the account of him seeing the Chi was contemporary with his life. So that's actually quite interesting.
Maybe it is the story that he told.
Or maybe it happened. Who knows? Conversion is a funny thing.
Sure is. Conversion makes a man do funny things.
I have such a difficulty converting a PDF. I don't think I could ever convert religions.
What are you trying to convert it to?
Christianity.
Yeah, they sell PDFs of the Bible. You should just get one.
My PDFs keep sacrificing goats to polytheistic figures.
To Saturn.
To Saturn. There's a wild child coming. There's an angry man. There's a new age dawning here to an old age plan.
There's a wild child coming. There's a angry man. There's a new age dawning here to an old age plan.
I'm curious what you think who is the wild child here?
Well, I mean, it's Constantine, isn't it?
I suppose it could be.
Well, this is very clearly a Constantine story. I don't think it's not about Jesus as well.
That's what I was thinking. I was wondering, is the wild child this Jesus,
The coming of Jesus, yeah. Because we get the line, the Christ child advent here to be seen. Adventus, Advent, same thing. The Advent in the church is called Adventus in Latin.
Right.
So it's the coming of Jesus.
And we are now moving into a period where Jesus was less of a historical figure and more of a ever-present idea.
Yeah, a mythological figure.
A mythological figure. Interesting. The angry man could be almost any man in history.
Right?
This could be kind of holding up Gaulius versus Constantine, like Constantine being the wild child versus the angry man. It's a different way of ruling. One of the one of the interesting things that Constantine did was he didn't necessarily, it wasn't until the end of his life that he said Christianity is the official religion of the Roman Empire. But he did say Christianity is not illegal.
Yeah, he paved the way.
And so just decriminalizing it was a huge change from what had happened beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a new age dawning here to an old age plan. I think that new age dawning is the allowing of Christianity.
Yes.
And the old age plan is, I don't know, just religion in general?
Or Rome.
Okay, yeah.
Rome's got to keep moving forward. Doesn't really matter if it's Christian or pagan.
Yeah.
As long as somebody keeps paying the bills.
Yeah.
I find the next verse really fascinating. Manic mother, her child gone missing, found in the temple with the elder men. Gone about his father's business. Yeah. But he soon goes missing once again.
Manic mother, her child gone missing. Found in the temple with the elder men. Gone about his father's business. Yeah, but he soon goes missing once again.
I think we're talking about Constantine as a young man.
And also Jesus.
And also Jesus, yes. But it seems that there was sort of an intermediary religion that cropped up called something.
Scientology.
Called Scientology. Even though he was raised pagan, he at some point lived as a catechumen. Catechumen.
I choose you.
Catechumen. Catechumen. It was a form of Christianity which existed in order to convert. I think it comes from the word catechism.
Catechism.
Cataclysm. Catechetism.
Spell it.
Catechism.
Catechism.
It's a catechism. It is a, hey, I'm going to teach you about this thing. It's not full-sprung Christianity. It's more like Christianity light.
That's really interesting.
It's fascinating. I've never heard of it before.
It's the stepping stone.
Yes.
It's the Fisher-Price, my first religion, my first Catholicism.
Pretty much. It's like, okay, we're not going to go full Christian on you, but it's like Sunday school Christianity.
Yeah, right.
So it's interesting that there was that kind of stepping stone there. And I think that that's what this is referencing. You know, it is the child's version of Christianity. So the mother not being able to find her child, and he's with the older, you know, the sages. It could kind of be that reference.
Yeah, and father gone about his father's business. Father is a capital F. So it's Father, Holy Father.
Yes, you're right.
But I mean, it also smacks of Christ in the temple getting pissed off.
Oh, of course. This is totally about Jesus because he ducked his head with the Mad John prophet. This is talking about Jesus getting baptized. So we're getting called the Christianity story in a little bit of a catechism.
Catechism.
Gotta catechism all. White magic healing exorcism got 12 good men. Now the gang's all here.
Ducked his head with the Mad John prophet. West Bank desert, doubts and fear. White magic healing and exorcism. Got 12 good men, now the gang's all here.
Yes, of course, that's Jesus and the Disciples.
That's my favorite band. Jesus and the Disciples.
This might even be the story of Christ that Constantine would have heard.
Sure, yeah. Much like Constantine's life of what we have now, you hit the important bits, the catchy bits, the things that will help to intrigue and draw people in and have them learn the story and learn the purpose and then be interested enough to convert.
But it's such a different thing than what we hear in the Zealot gene with Fisherman of Ephesus.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, Fisherman of Ephesus is, hey, I knew this really cool guy and I'd like to tell you about him. And it's just like raw philosophy and raw experience.
Yeah.
This is very much institutionalized. This is, hey, you got to go learn your virtues and learn about this cool guy from a book.
Yeah. It's becoming more organized. And I think if anything is adopted by frickin' Rome, there's got to be some organization that is applied to.
It wouldn't have been able to be put forth as an official religion otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the chorus again. There's a wild child coming. There's an angry man. New age dawning. I mean, we could also view that as the wild child is Christ and the angry man is Old Testament God.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that Christ is the new phase of God's plan, of the age-old plan. We get into the final verse. Proclamation, divine seed sown. Did he really say that thing?
Proclamation, divine seed sown. Did he really say that thing?
That is interesting. It could be both referring to Jesus or to Constantine. Mm-hmm. Did Constantine really say, hey, I'm Christian now?
Yeah.
There's a lot of debate around that. On a donkey colt, calm to the passion, knowing full well what the charge must bring.
On donkey colt, calm to the passion, knowing full well what the charge must bring.
That must be a reference to Jesus.
Yes, he was brought into wherever it was.
The hill?
On a donkey. Then that's when they gave him the crown of thorns and whipped the hell out of him and then hung him. That's the passion of the Christ.
Right.
The donkey colt, calm, so he was good and chill like Jesus was, knowing that he was going to his death.
Right.
Going to the passion.
The body bread, a farewell supper, silver bounty, a kiss betrayed.
The body bread, a farewell supper, bounty silver, a kiss betrayed.
Again, it's kind of the greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's the Christ megamix.
Yeah, these would all be the pages in a coloring book.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, if you're going to teach religion to kids, it's literally that.
Yeah. If you're going to catechize, cacciatore.
Delicious. It's a long, hard haul, that Via Dolorosa. No last contrition, quite unafraid.
It's a long, hard haul, that Via Dolorosa. No last contrition, quite unafraid.
Via Dolorosa is the painful way.
Yes.
That could refer to Christ's progression to the cross.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do give him, in the story, they give Christ one last chance to recant. And he's like, I can't recant. If I could, I would recould. I tried to recant, but I couldn't.
So I think we've seen this before. I couldn't tell you when, but I feel like we've seen this before, where we have these two parallel storylines.
Yes.
Where they're allegorical of one another.
I was just thinking that this song is a little bit like a moving Venn diagram.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me a little bit of Baron Beth Wild Desert John.
Yeah.
Where you have Christ and John the Baptist as these very parallel figures that get closer and get further apart. It's similar.
If you pick the right pieces out, they're practically living identical lives. You know, you can apply these concepts to both of their experiences.
Which, you know, Constantine having traveled the entire empire, he would have been really good at understanding the power of stories.
Oh, sure.
And so if he was able to draw any parallels between himself and Jesus, he would understand that it wouldn't just be to Jesus. He would also be drawing parallels to a lot of the other resurrected figures in all the pagan religions.
Yep. Yeah.
Which would just reinforce his position as a person of power.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to speak to the audience, knowing the room, basically, knowing the talking points for each time you're speaking to a group, I don't know, unless you're like a really powerful, scary war hero, which he may have been.
He was in a way, but it seemed like he took a different tactic with his personality.
Exactly, which means he had to be a good orator.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think it's nearly as clean as what we have on Zealot Gene. So I do still stick by my idea of it being kind of like the kernel of what Zealot Gene forms into. And remember, Zealot Gene comes after this, technically.
It does. According to Christian writers, he was baptized on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Believing that the baptism would release him from any sins he committed in the course of carrying out his policies while emperor. He was like, whoa. No, I got a couple, no, hold the water, I got a couple more sins to commit.
Yeah, I'm hedging my bets because if Christianity is not real and I get baptized, I don't lose anything. But if Christianity is real and I get baptized, whew, that was a close one.
So it reminds me of somebody, I forget who it was in the story. I think it was some poet or artist, but he was on his deathbed and the priest came to him and he said, "Do you reject the devil? Do you reject Satan from your heart?" And he said, "Well, it was a bit late in the day to be making enemies."
That sounds like Oscar Wilde. That sounds like Mark Twain. It could be, it sounds like frickin' Groucho Marx even.
Yeah. Nick, what are we talking about next week as we roll along through the history of the world?
Goodness me, track number 5, we are halfway through part 1 of Chronicles. We are starting track number 5. It is Meliora Sequamur, which is broadly the 1100s is how Ian dates that.
And a small translation would be, let us follow better tings.
Better tings, that's right.
Until next week, let's meet in Milan. I'll host the party. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
I've been here for the long, hard haul. I am Nick McGill.
We're coming on a donkey, the Feckless Momes.
And this has been the Via Dolorosa. Talk Tull to me.
Kookapoo, knifefish, koi, king of the herons, kingfish, kelp perch, collide, canyu, kelpfish, kissing gourmani, king of the salmon, killifish, kokanee. Cock Cultime is a cowed kemper of the Keckless Combs Collier Ketwork.